9th, 2025 Peachtree City Planning Commission meeting to order. All who are citizens of the United States, please rise and join me in pledging allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. I'd like to welcome Mayor Leonard. Thank you for attending this evening. Always wonderful to have you here. We do have a packed agenda this evening, so we're going to go ahead and roll right along. Staff, any deletions or additions?
No.
Okay, announcements or reports?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Approval of minutes, and the minutes are from our April 28th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. Minutes had gone out. Any additions, changes, comments to those? None? Okay. If nothing, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
Motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as submitted and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, minutes approved as submitted. No public hearings this evening, but we have two new items, and staff has added these as discussion items. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to staff for the first one, which is the fence requirements for residential zoning districts.
Okay. As she's loading that PowerPoint for us, I want to share how this is going along. So we have text amendments that will be going to mayor and council. These are items that are not technically within the zoning ordinance. However, if we had our UDO, they would be a component of a UDO. They do have components that have zoning features added to them. So our council will be hearing where we've identified some challenges that we would like to propose a text amendment there. But I, again, want to bring this to you just so that you can have the opportunity to hear it as well. So I guess I have to turn it on. No, it's not. Sorry about that. There we go. Alrighty. So fencing requirements. So our code allows for there to be standards placed for all residential components, commercial, industrial, et cetera. For the residential piece, there's a number of zoning classifications that have fencing requirements. I think there's about 7 different provisions within that section of the code. It does not include all areas of the residential zoning classifications, so we'll be presenting to council where we're asking for there to be additions made there so that everything is uniformed for fencing. And I believe that section of the code has been provided to you in your packet. If you have any questions, I can answer them now or move on to the next item. Okay. All right, and so next, here's where it gets a little bit more complicated. There's a sign code section, of course, that the city has. We prohibit roof signs. However, we define roof signs to be erected upon and above. That doesn't mean it has to be inclusive of upon and above. It means that it can be upon and it can also be above, meaning it can touch the actual roof portion or it can just be above the actual roof lining. However, in the code, it identifies in section 66-15 that in certain commercial and industrial zoning classifications, we do allow signage upon the parapet. Parapet is, of course, above the roof line. So that then kind of conflicts with what 66.5 says, that a roof sign is prohibited. So I'll be presenting that to council to see how we can clean it up to be either where it's for or not. And that way staff is more aware of how we are to address such signage when it comes in the door for an application. Again, this is something we're presenting over to council for their consideration and an alteration of the code or text amendment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I happened to mention earlier that it is a little confusing. I went into the fencing at one point in time looking for something, and it took me to multiple different sections and from one section to the other and then back again. So it will be good to go ahead and go through that. And as we said, bring that into the UDO and clean it up and make it precise and easy to follow.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Okay, I see no old agenda items. So we're going to go right into the new agenda items. The first one is the Building Elevations Enterprise 1000 Crosstown Drive.
Okay, now it's not working again. Oh, it just went. I don't know if you did anything, but there it went. Although now it's not going again. Okay. All right. Whoops. Yeah, okay, I think we're good. Okay, so this property is, as the chairman said, located at 1000 Crosstown Drive, which is the corner of Highway 74 and Crosstown Drive right here. It's currently a vacant building, but it is under new ownership, and they are requesting to make some modifications to the existing elevations. The property is Zone GC General Commercial. So here is a picture of the existing building. And the changes they're minor. They include basically painting the building, the window systems, and the storefront, and also replacing the roof. You can see in the pictures, whoops, I didn't touch that. Okay. In the pictures on the right, you can see that the roof has already been replaced. They got a building permit for that, and the roof has been replaced. And the color of that is charcoal black. So as you know, the land development ordinance establishes guidelines for color selection, and they should be low reflectance, subtle, neutral, or earth tone colors. The colors proposed for this building are neutral. You can see down here in the corner a color called moderate white, which is on the beige side, and that's the primary color to paint the building, which is a concrete block building. And then as a bit of an accent on the garage doors, this Tony taupe color. And then, of course, the black accents, like I mentioned. And that is about it. The staff feels the color selection will blend with the natural surroundings and also complement the adjacent development.
Okay, thank you, staff. Is the applicant here this evening? If you'd please step up to the microphone and give your name, who you represent.
Billy Giddens, Property Development for Enterprise.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything to add to staff's presentation?
No, not really. Just like Laura mentioned, we just tried to make it consistent with the surrounding environment, and we didn't want it to really stand out as much as blend in.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions from the commissioners. Commissioner Reeves, any questions of staff or the applicant?
Yes, thanks. Good evening. Thanks for being here.
Sure.
I know we're looking at the building elevations, but I guess I have just curious questions. Based on the location and based on it being enterprise, do you have any sort of numbers you can give us as far as how many cars you think will actually be on the property?
All right, so that's a trick question a little bit, so I'm going to
Okay.
try to explain it as best I can.
Okay.
So the existing location that we already have at Peachtree City, that we will be moving from the old location to this location, they probably operate at the last, and I was just checking my notes actually, they send out fleet counts every hour, roughly 330 vehicles. But the trick is obviously with Enterprise, you don't ever see those vehicles sitting on the ground, because if you do, we're not making money, right? So
Right.
all of those vehicles are on the road. So an average You will probably see 25 vehicles sitting on the ground, maybe 30, but we're projecting this one to possibly even grow as much as 400 cars, to be honest with you. So,
400?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I guess the only other question, I appreciate that.
Sure.
I guess the only other question I had is, with the anticipated growth that you just alluded to, do you see or foresee a need to, I imagine, cut down or expand the parking lot area such that you can put the vehicles in that space?
No, based on our projections, the way the lot is situated now, we have enough parking stalls for even what we projected overage if we get to 400 vehicles. As we typically figure no more than 5 to 10% sitting on the ground at one time, and there's plenty adequate stalls there, so we wouldn't do anything else to that lot, that I know of anyway.
Okay. Thank you. I
Yes, ma'am.
appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hamner?
No questions.
And I think that was one of the questions, so thank you, Commissioner Reeves, that I was going to ask. Number one, I figured you, of course, were going to be moving from the 54 West over to this location and not opening up a second. And it just was exactly the same thing, the number of vehicles that you were projecting to be on lot at one time. 400 does sound like a lot on the lot. So, that is a pretty good amount of vehicles at one point in time. But that's something for down the road when
Well, it is.
when
and
you
I can
happen to get there, so.
elaborate just a little bit more. The way I try to explain it without getting too complicated is if you think about all of our vehicles are really like hotel rooms, right? But the beauty is our hotel rooms get to drive away, so they're never on the lot. And then let's just say for some reason we can't rent our hotel rooms, so we just take them to Fairburn and they rent our hotel rooms over there. So we do try to keep our lots pretty, with a few exceptions. Obviously, there's a couple of holidays that get us, but
Sure.
for the most part.
In the second question, thinking of well, I wouldn't even say future because, of course, it's here around us all the time. And I'm not aware, and I apologize for that, does Enterprise rent EV vehicles?
Yes, we do. Like a lot of other companies, we continue to struggle with infrastructure and how to handle that type. Eventually, we plan to be 50-50 with EV somewhere down the road, or maybe even more than that. But again, it's still questions of infrastructure right now. the same
And
as the
that's
rest of-
where the question was going as to, unfortunately, we don't have, as well as many other places, we really don't have a charging infrastructure. We are limited. That's one of the things as part of kind of the UDO is looking ahead and thinking, okay, well, what does that look like? What should it look like? And the question was, will you be or have to be eventually installing charging stations on the property for whatever EVs that you do have? or
Yes, to
expect
answer
get?
your question straight away, we will already have chargers installed here in
Okay.
anticipation of, but we'll probably start out with 1 or 2 charging stations, and then as, obviously as we grow,
Okay.
that'll change.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any comments, Commissioner Hamner?
I think the colors are going to look really good. Also glad to see this building put to use, and
We are looking forward
it's
to
going
it.
to look really nice as well. Much better than it does right now. Even with the new roof.
Thank you.
It's already
Thank you.
better. That's good. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Reeves?
I agree. I rode by there earlier today, and it seems to be a great location for an operation like that. And with the updates you're going to do, they look like they'll be a nice feature.
Thank you.
In my comments, and this is nothing against prior property owners, but unfortunately that has not been a very attractive corner on that side for a little bit of time. So it will be nice seeing, everything freshened up. One of the things, I'd like to see is especially on that corner, I'm not sure exactly where the property lines go up to 74 and Crosstown, but, whatever can be done, kind of landscaping wise, just to help that out. Right now, it looks like just a bunch of dirt. And I know that's not part of your actual company or anything like that, but just to do a little beautification on that corner would be really nice if possible, so.
Look, I can tell you, that this is gonna be my baby, so to
Okay.
speak, it's
So
my
thank you.
project. So, you know, as we go through the planning, if there are suggestions for landscape, we will abide, I can promise you that.
Okay, definitely would appreciate that.
Sure.
Great, okay. Anything else? No? Okay,
No.
so do we have a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the building elevations for 1000 Crosstown Drive, Enterprise.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion to approve and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Okay, it is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next, the building elevations request for waiver, McElroy Metals 555 Dividend Drive.
So, McElroy Metals is proposing to do a fairly small building expansion. It'll be just under 5,000 square feet. And the land development ordinance gives you all, the planning commission, authority to waive an architectural review for a building if it will not be visible from the road once the project is completed. So, what we have here is the site plan showing the proposed location for this 4,000 plus square foot building expansion. It is on the opposite side of the building and towards the rear of the property from the entrance drive here. What you have on the right-hand side are a couple of street views as you go down Dividend Drive. This would be the first one as you're going, I forget which direction this is, north, I believe. And then here's your, you can kind of see into the property at the entrance. And then as you go down, it just, you know, there's a fairly substantial existing buffer located here. And so it is staff's opinion that this project will not be visible from the road. Of course, it is your decision to waive the review. I just also wanted to point out that because this project is less than 5,000 square feet of addition or replacement of impervious cover, it will not go through the site plan process, and therefore you will not see it as part of a conceptual site plan review.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And that's really all we have on that. So let me know if you have any questions.
Sure, thank you. Is the applicant here this evening? If so, please step to the microphone, give your name.
Thank you, Laura. My name is Chris Davis with Davis Building. We're the design builder for and owner's rep for McElroy Metal.
Okay, perfect. Anything to add to staff's presentation?
No, Laura did a good job. McElroy has a need for additional storage to their existing facility, and we would like to continue the continuity of the existing building to the proposed expansion and waive that elevation review for the materials.
Okay, good. Okay. Any questions, Commissioner Hamner?
I think you answered it, but just curious, the purpose of the expansion is just for storage?
Yes, sir.
What kind of storage?
They store their, they get these, they fabricate metal and they get the raw coils in and they rack them in their warehouse.
Makes sense.
Yes.
All right. That is it.
Commissioner Reeves? Any questions?
No questions for the applicant. I think I have a gee whiz question for staff, you know. When we waive something under section 724, does that specifically mean that all the sections in are waived? Section 25, 26, 27, 28?
Yes, all those apply to an architectural review, so yes, you would,
So it's a blanket waive for all of them? Okay, thank you.
meaning they won't have to come back before you with proposed building elevations. I did actually want to add, although you won't be seeing a conceptual site plan review, they will have to submit a site plan with their building permit application, and at that time, we'll make sure they have enough parking and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
I'm just going to go ahead and stay with you. Any comments?
No comments.
Commissioner Hamner, any comments?
I think this is very much in the best interest of Peachtree City and obviously for the company itself. Yeah, this looks good.
And I just want the same thing, since it is pretty much hidden by the buffer and it's not really a direct view from Dividend, I don't think there's any issue with going ahead and waiving. So I guess with that, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the building elevations request for waiver at McElroy Metals 555 Dividend Drive as submitted.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the building elevation request for waiver, McElroy Metals 555 Dividend Drive. And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the building elevation request for waiver is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize, I'm drawing on the screen.
Looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is the building elevation modifications, office building 455 North Lake Drive.
Okay, just a reminder, you've seen this site a few times, and it is located at the intersection of Aberdeen Parkway and North Lake Drive, across from the Partners, Aberdeen Plaza, where Partners is located, right here, and it's Zone GC General Commercial. The elevations for this project were approved in March, so that's probably why it looks familiar to you. They have refined their architectural design a bit and are coming back to you with a modified proposal. It does use the same brick colors, so there's no change of colors proposed. It's more of a color placement, and they've also tweaked the design a bit based on some comments that you all had at their first review. Here we have there are also some sort of aerial shots that will be a little easier to understand, but I just wanted to start here. And these are side-by-side comparisons. I know this is awkward because the building is sort of an odd shape, but these were the original approvals, and this is the new proposal. And these show you which side you're looking at. So this east elevation, which is this group, is basically what is seen from the corner, although there is a bit of a buffer here, and so forth, north, southwest. The change, what they've done is sort of use the colors in a way to accent the building versus before they might have been a little less focused, if you will. So the brown brick is now proposed at the base of the building, all around the base of the building, you'll see, and then also to accent the entrance of the building. And then the remainder of the upper section, aside from where the entrance is, will be the white brick. Let me just go to the next page, and this might be a little easier to see. So here's the entrance feature of the building, which is here, away from all the roads, and that's where a lot of the brown will be, and then again, all around the base of the building, so to anchor it. Here's those colors that were previously approved, a brown with a brown grout, and the Winter Haven white with a white colored grout. Let me go back a page. So here's some other changes to note. So we're going to talk about this 4-inch wall projection, which is what is in response to what you all had comments about, to give some delineation and some definition to the building and some more interest. We'll look at that in just a minute. It's easier to see on the other page. These downspouts have been added, and they sort of add an architectural feature to the building, so that's an addition. And then height of the parapet walls have been adjusted. They've come down, I think 2 feet from before. So, for instance, if you look at the north elevation, this is the parapet wall. Now it's just this. See, much shorter than it was before. Again, here and here. And then you can also see it here and over here. So back to the 4-inch wall projection, you can see it here. This is the view that was in your packet. But if you look at it overhead, it's a little bit easier to see how this section of the building projects the 4 inches. You can kind of see it at the corners, and also at the front, on the front view, right here, you can see a little shadow there. So I hope that is evident to you. Let's see. So I think that's about it. Staff is of the opinion the modified building elevations for the office building meet the city's development standards.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here this evening?
Yes.
Please step up to the microphone and give your name.
I'm Doug Carruthers,
Okay.
the architect.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Grathers. Anything to add to staff's presentation?
No, I think, Laura, you covered it all. The only thing I would add is that the 3 downspouts have now been changed to where there's only actually one. And it would be on a previous elevation, I can show
Is it
you.
easier to see on the elevation? There you go.
That west elevation,
This is south.
the east elevation, 2 windows there on that angled wall, it's kind of hard to see. It will just go right down between the 2 windows right there.
It'll go right here.
Mhm.
So these are not proposed any longer,
Yes.
is what you're saying. Okay. So east, that's going to be,
So you, on the south elevation, in between those 2 windows there, there will be 1 downspout. So instead of the 3, there'll only be 1,
Okay.
which I can send you the revision, but that's, in working out the roof slopes, it ended up being better for us to do it all in one
so
location.
it'll be this one right here.
But those 3 there will get moved to the right side of that 3D view there, the 2 windows.
Yeah, you're saying,
Yeah.
like right
coming
there.
down right in between there. So it makes it a little simpler, I think, than having the 3.
Okay.
And the parapets were lowered, but the rooftop units were fully screened.
Okay, very good. Thanks for clarifying that.
Sorry, just to make sure I understand. I've made a little mark, a little green mark right there. Is that where it's supposed to be? It's like right around there?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Facing the road and yes.
got it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions, Commissioner Reeves?
No questions.
Commissioner Hamner?
No questions.
Okay, I don't have any either. Any comments?
Overall,
Hamner?
looks good.
Commissioner Reeves?
Same.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, we really appreciate you taking another look at that, providing a bit more delineation, as staff mentioned, between the different sections of the building.
I think it's better now.
It sets off the front, the entrance, a lot better than it did, and I do like the kind of the flip in the brown and the white to what it is now. So definitely appreciate you taking a look at it again. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So do we have a motion?
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the conceptual plan for Kensington Gardens.
This is the.
Let me see.
Nope. You're good. North Lake.
I'm sorry, I gotten off track. For building elevation modifications, office building 455 North Lake Drive.
So we have a motion to approve the modifications as submitted, or with the slight modification to the downspout. Sorry about that.
Correct.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the modifications with the modification to the downspout, number and location. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item is approved with the modification to the downspout number and locations. Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have the conceptual site plan and elevations, office building 3511 TDK Boulevard.
Okay, so this is a new item. We have conceptual site plan and elevations here for this site located at 3511 TDK Boulevard, which is right off the TDK extension shown here. It is this here to the south is the Lake McIntosh Park with some boat ramp access and a picnic area. And then just to the north here, this is hole number 5 of the Planterra Golf Course. The lot is zoned GI General Industrial, and it is also in an airport overlay district. It really doesn't show up very well, but there's a very tiny green dot hatch outside of this striped area, and it does cover the whole site. So what that means is that they will have to coordinate with the Peachtree City Airport Authority and the FAA and to make sure the building is designed to meet their standards for height and that type of thing. So I have 2 different versions of the site plan in case you are thinking, boy, I'd like to see that better. We're going to have a little bit of a close-up there, but we'll start here. So you can see the full site. The building being proposed is a total of, it's a 2-story building. It's a total of 13,600 square feet, and there are 54 parking spaces provided. There is also, let's see. Oh, of the parking spaces provided, let's see. 7 of them are impervious paving, and those are right here near the front door where the handicap accessible spaces are, and then the rest are going to be pervious paving, 47 of them. They are also identifying tree save areas in this section, and then all of this. Just want to point that out. That will aid in their calculation of requirements for landscaping in the future when we get to that point. The lot is currently vacant and wooded, as you saw in that aerial photograph. The lot is 5.17 acres. The setbacks are 50 feet in the front, which you'll notice that they have a very limited frontage right here, just enough to get the access drive in. 50 feet in the front, 20 feet on the sides, and 50 feet in the rear. And I will move to the close-up there in case you can, so you can see that a little bit better. In case you're wondering about possible buffer requirements, because this is in such proximity to the lake, I want to note that this tract is grandfathered with regard to current lake buffer requirements. And I'll give you a brief explanation why. Essentially, the lot was platted in 2006 and has not been altered since that plat. And this was prior to the lake being created. Then there is a 2010 legal opinion from our city attorney that stated the parcels adjacent to the future Lake McIntosh do not have to comply with those buffer requirements other than requirements imposed under the soil erosion and sediment control statutes and related to city ordinances pertaining to soil erosion and sediment control. And the city engineer has reviewed this proposed plan for erosion and sediment, on a preliminary basis for erosion and sedimentation control requirements, and they will continue to review and enforce those requirements throughout the construction plan review process. I hope that was simple enough, but feel free to ask me additional questions on that. In addition, being situated along the major thoroughfare, the TDK is it's a community collector road, would trigger an architectural review, and we do have some elevations to show you as well. So as I mentioned before, the access is through this very narrow spot there, right at TDK. Whoops, wrong direction. I think that covers the site plan. I'm going to move into the architectural design. So the proposed building, we have some elevations and we also have some renderings to show you. So the proposed building has a real modern look and feel. It has lots of glass. You can see the materials proposed here on the side. There's some natural stone, some Tennessee field stone there, and also this the Nichiha fiber cement products are also proposed as their primary materials. In case you're not as familiar, I'm sure everybody's familiar with the hardy board, hardy plank siding, but the Nichiha company manufactures these products as architectural wall panels that can mimic the look of materials like wood, brick, concrete, and steel. So it's quite versatile and allows for a lot of different looks using that material. And we do consider, as we have in the past, the fiber cement board of it meeting the intent of the land development ordinance for a durable and long-lasting and low-maintenance materials such as brick and stone. The building will not really be visible from TDK, as you can see, due to the long driveway in. And I'll give you a little bit of a view here of the renderings. This is an approach view of the building, and this is probably about halfway up the drive. So from the very beginning, it's if you can even see it, it'll be a dot in the distance. But anyway, so the rear. Well, okay. So let's talk about what side is what. Because of the orientation of the building, what we would consider the front facade in terms of the architectural review would be this short side, which is the one that faces TDK Boulevard. So down here, even though the applicant has labeled this the front elevation, they're calling this the approach elevation. This would actually be what we would consider the front as far as our review. And then the sides would actually be the two long sides. The side of the building that the entrance to the building is on, and then I guess what you would call the rear of the building. So anyway, I hope that helps explain that a little bit. And then according to the ordinance, all sides of the building should be considered for primary materials, and the code references 80% as a minimum on the front, quote unquote, and 50% of primary materials on the sides. So I've given you now. So when we do these calculations, we eliminate glass from the equation, and there is quite a lot of glass here. So of the remaining materials, the front, quote unquote, elevation is only about 13% primary materials, which would be, I believe, here and here is the fiber cement board. And the architect is here, so he'll probably be able to clarify a little bit more for us where all the fiber cement board is. But as an example, these are decorative metal panels. Then there's also some corrugated metal panels up here under the roof line. This is the stone component. And I believe all of this in here, the dark and the wood look color, which is the cedar finish on the fiber cement. And I believe, and they can confirm for us, that this is the steel finish look. So the side, 45% for the entrance side and 40% for the other. And then again, what we would say the rear is which there is no requirement for primary materials on the rear, 13%. So just to give you a view of this pretty building, we have a daytime and a nighttime view of the side of the building that has the entrance. And then, of course, this approach view about halfway down the driveway, and this is the, say, the rear of the building. Let's see, so as you know, the land development ordinance establishes color requirements. The predominant colors should be neutral or earth tones. And then, of course, you saw the palette is the stone has some grays and browns in the stone. Of course, there's the cedar finish browns for it's got a vintage wood look, and then the other fiber cement panels of a dark gray color, and then the metals are again sort of an iron ore color. So all earth tones there. Staff feels the color selection will blend well with the natural surroundings. I think that is all I have for you. So staff is of the opinion the conceptual site plan meets the city's ordinances and development standards. The proposed building elevations are innovative, neutral, and blend with the natural surroundings, which meets the majority of the city's development standards. However, the percentages of primary materials falls a bit short. Therefore, approval is up to you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here this evening? Please step
Yes,
up.
Jason Walls with Highland Land Planning here to speak about the site plan. If you guys have any questions on that, that's a pretty thorough explanation, so we'll just hang tight and answer your questions.
Okay,
Jefferson Brown, architect and hopeful owner.
thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions of the applicant, site planner, or staff. Commissioner Hamner?
Yes, so, sorry, just to revisit the percentage of the primary materials, again, pretty dense, that was a lot for it. Just to recap very quickly, in terms of like, where does it fall short on it, just to reiterate that.
Excuse me. So what we're considering the front of the building is this little end piece that faces the road. And it is, again, mostly glass, and it has a good bit of metal panels and just a small amount, only 13% of fiber cement.
And just to recap, because there were some numbers thrown around, is there a minimum that it needs to be?
According to the ordinance, it should be 80% primary materials.
Okay. For the applicant, yes, okay, so,
I can
what
answer.
are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can answer that.
Yes, thank you.
We didn't ignore the ordinance. We thought possibly that since you can't see this building from the road, that it was an opportunity that we could possibly get that exemption. But it was more about the architecture, balancing the architecture, balancing the materials. This is a site that we were looking at it as a conservation development. We're saving the trees, we're saving the wildlife, we're proposing putting in planters, we're putting in feeders for the wildlife. There are deer, there are ducks there, there's things that we want to do. We're trying to create an environment where the creative people that do work on staff and if we're looking outside the window, we actually want to feel like we're in the canopy of the trees. We want to see the trees, we want to see it moving. Even we have eagles out on the property, and if you kind of can imagine that front, we call it the rear elevation and the front elevation, imagine an eagle, when they take off, they drop and they throw their wings up, and that is where the inspiration comes for that design. So glass, in a lot of areas, we get to use glass as a Class A. Glass is $125 a square foot, where some of the Class A materials are $30 a square foot. It's a premium material. We're trying to get views, we're trying to get nature, we're trying to get daylight in, and then we're also oriented the building, so if you're looking at the orientation, so that it is north. So if it's north, you can imagine working in a studio where you could actually have natural daylight come in, and to the back, the south side. So there was a lot of architecture that was driving. We also wanted to look at materials that if you're a client, and we're blessed, and I know it. We have clients that fly in from all over the U.S. and international to come and meet with us. We wanted to be able to have a facility that we could demonstrate how to use multiple types of materials that you don't see. So we were hoping to actually layer this thing up in a very unique way that was pleasant, but didn't require maintenance. So it's kind of the background, and I was aware. So it wasn't that I wasn't aware, but I just wanted to present this and see if there is a path forward. If not, then we got to go back and sketch. So it's not that I wasn't aware of the 80%.
Understood. If you had to go back and meet the ordinance at 80%, again, you hinted at it a little bit, but can you give us some details in terms of like what that would do?
I'd redesign the building.
Okay.
I'd go to one story, probably change it into more of a lowland environmental center that you see, and put it on piers.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Commissioner Reeves, questions?
Sure, thank you. I think my concern was basically the same thing, but I'll ask it this way. As far as what we talk about as the front, the back, the sides, you know, from an architectural standpoint, well, let me just start with staff, okay? So I understand what you articulated as far as the front and the rear, right? The general question, I guess, is this. Just for a layperson, it doesn't seem to be a door there on the front or a door on the rear, you know? I understand it's the front because it's facing the road, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And for all the other applicants that come in front of the city with similar type design, is that same process, the process that we use in evaluating those properties?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And may I clarify? I
Sure.
realized as I was thinking about what I said, I didn't answer your question about how would you get to the 80%. If we got to the 80%, we'd have to reduce the glass. I just realized I didn't answer your question.
Understood.
So we'd have to reduce the glass, which is part of the daylighting that we would like to get, but that's what we could do on that front. Reduce the glass, 80% brick and 20% glass, to answer your question.
Thank you.
I apologize I didn't answer.
No, you're good, thank you.
Okay, so you may have already said it applicant, but it seems as though this project may have, in my mind, qualified for a waiver, you know? And I think it has a little bit to do with how you orient the back, the front, and all of that, you know? So generally, if you could, once again, explain why it is that that is not the request for a waiver?
We could have made a request, and depending how tonight went, we may go that direction, if you like the design and like the reasons. We looked at this property as a developer. What I'm proposing here isn't actually very wise as a development. What you would want to do as a developer, optimize your square footage and put the most amount of square footage you could on this property. This property could be a big warehouse sitting down there. We saw it as an opportunity to save some trees and then improve that environment down there, but it also fits our needs. So we're trying to balance it in a way. It's a difficult project for us to because even the banks are saying, you need to go ahead and quadruple your square footage to make this make sense as a bankable type project. But we're interested in doing a conservation development.
Okay, fair enough. That's my questions.
Okay. Going to go ahead and stay with you for any comments.
Okay. Once again, the conceptual site plans that you seem to bring in front of us always are beautiful. The building is beautiful, and I definitely understand the conservation aspect of it, and I definitely understand the concept of being in touch with nature as you sit and do your work. The only concern I have is the tremendous delta in meeting what the land ordinance says, you know. For me, I think that based on the fact that no one is actually going to see the building, really, although this is the front and side that you've indicated, to me, your sides are the front and the back, you know, and no one is actually going to see it from anywhere. So based on that, I think I like it.
Great. Commissioner Hamner?
I really like this building. Looks great from a design perspective. I think it's just cool. It's great, and I really like the nature stuff that you're talking about as well. It's that 80% though, and obviously we have that as a rule, and we've enforced it with others as well on that. I would love to see, even if it were like that the. I agree with Commissioner Reeves that the sides are really the front and the back on this, and I think that I would view that as in the spirit of like the way that you were intending the building to be, and to think of that where it's a 45% right now to be the front of it, but again it's that 80%, and it's I don't think I'm comfortable having a building elevation and a waiver conversation at the same time for it. I see those as potentially maybe somewhat separated conversations around it. But again, the building's great, but again, that 80%'s there.
And I guess question to staff. So since this building is not visible from TDK, and we just had a discussion on a building that's not visible from Dividend, would it be required to go and get a request for waiver? Is that a path that would be recommended to the applicant?
It is an option.
Okay. So let's put it this way then. What other options would we have as the Planning Commission to, I wouldn't say grant because it's not the right word, but to give an allowance to deviate from that 80% because the building is not, or are we able to do that?
Do you want to handle
So any restrictions that are lessening or changing with the code requirements, that's only at council's hands for a variance. So I don't believe you can lessen it at that point at your level of power.
Okay, and that's what I was wondering, so thank you. Let me go back to the building itself. Jefferson, simply beautiful. And when I first saw it, well, let me go back. This piece of property is very difficult, to say the least. I know we have seen I guess a condo type complex be proposed for this. And I know, and it's on record that we, as the Planning Commission, did not like that. We really hoped that this would go in and stay zoned for commercial as it was originally zoned and not switch over to a residential. And there were other issues related to that also. And it has sat for a while because it is very difficult just access-wise and the requirements that are placed upon it. So for you to be able to go in and do something like this is outstanding. The first thing that I saw when I looked at the building, I looked at either aviation or avian, exactly what you designed it for. And I figured that was the case, and I wasn't going to say, did you design it for that reason? Yes. I love all the glass. Unfortunately, it does open up the issue with that 80% on that side.
And I do understand too, because we've presented a lot of projects, and if we were at 78% and it's architecturally aesthetically pleasing, that's reasonable. I understand. It's 13%. It's not even close to 80. I'm looking for a path forward, but I actually want to create a unique, one-of-a-kind project that I think that Peachtree City deserves.
And honestly, I mean, I would, everything that we vote on or make any type of recommendations or suggestions, sets a precedent. And for better or for worse, it sets a precedent.
And I respect that.
And what I look at is I would love to see this set a precedent for some of the innovative designs as we go forward in Peachtree City. with some of the redevelopment, revitalization that we're going to be seeing going forward. You know, we are built out. You know, there's a lot of properties that in the next X number of years are going to have to be redeveloped into something else. And I would love to see things like this going into properties such as that. I really would. It would really set us off even more as a very unique city, which is what we want. If you would have to go back and not redesign the entire building, because I mean, I think we all agree we really like the design. I mean, we really, really do. Could you do anything to that front side, quote unquote, that would not take away, and I know it's going to take away glass. What would you think you might be able to do to that side to bring it up to?
The only thing we could do is actually put 20% glass up there and 80% brick.
Okay. Would you do the same thing for the rear or just that one side? I mean,
According to
it's
the
just-
ordinance, that's what we'd have to have.
Yeah.
And that is the peninsula look. That's the only 270-degree look at your water, and to go and put 80% solid material, it's kind of, it's not, doesn't follow the essence of the
Right.
property.
And I was just going to say
No.
that exact same thing because when, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I
Sure.
don't want to interrupt, but I do want to
Oh,
make a
absolutely, go
point.
ahead.
Remember in the beginning, I said we take glass out of the equation. So 20% glass actually is 100% primary material. It doesn't matter how much glass it is, it's just of the remaining material, what is it, right? So that glass could stay as long as the other materials change.
Well, then I could agree to go to brick.
Glass is not considered in the calculations. At least that's how it's been done in the past.
Then I could agree to go to 80% brick. That's
Okay.
of a natural material and a natural mortar
Okay,
that definitely blends with the other materials.
okay.
Question on that, how transformative is that if we went for that brick? Again, everything that you've been trying to accomplish with this obviously is with purpose. How much does the purpose change if you go brick?
I mean, everybody knows the brick has a pattern. It has a different vibe when you feel it. It's just not. It isn't the same, or we would have gone there.
Remember,
Yeah.
the fiber cement is a primary material.
It is a primary material, and give you an idea, bricks $18 a square foot. The Nietzsche panels close to $35 to $37 a square foot. So if we went with Nietzsche there and we would go away from the metal panel and go to Nietzsche, then we can make that work. I don't want to do a brick building.
Right.
I just don't. It just doesn't feel like it's nature. It doesn't feel like it's come from the earth the way that these materials would feel.
Understood.
Can I ask
So-
one more question?
Absolutely.
So I would agree to Hardy 80%, or I'm sorry, Nietzsche 80%.
Would you still feel that it serves, or somewhat the purpose that you're looking to accomplish with the building with that?
That would.
Okay.
That would. Nietzsche makes a metal-looking panel,
Okay.
but I understand that we could literally go to, it's called coffee. So Nietzsche makes what's called a coffee panel that's cedar, and it's a coffee color. It's a dark color. So that mixed with the cedar is a good blend.
Okay.
And I haven't seen it done here.
Commissioner Reeves, you had a,
I had one more question, and I asked this question earlier when we were talking about waivers, but I just want to take a stab at it one more time. And the reason is because I'm not an attorney, but in just reading the words, as far as a waiver is concerned, when we waive the architectural review, there's so many elements to the architectural review. Is it a chance that we can actually waive an applicant from, let's say, in section 727, the one that's actually at issue here?
Yes. No, I think it would have to be a separate request to
Okay.
come back next time and ask for a waiver of the review. Or the requirements?
Of 727 only.
No, of the whole architectural standards
Okay.
section.
It's one or nothing. Okay. Thank you.
Well, let me
I'll do the panel.
ask, yeah,
Okay.
let me ask the commissioners. So we have a couple paths. You know, we could, and I guess, would we not table this? How would we handle that?
So you have options of either allowing for, there to be, I guess, a tabling to give you a little bit more time for alterations if you're giving him that chance of having that way the decision's not being made tonight. You could do that, the tabling component. I would say it sounds like your applicant is willing to make some alterations, so, if staff could give a recommendation, it would be to allow for that opportunity.
Okay. What if the applicant's desire would be, and I don't know if it is or not, what if the applicant's desire would be to actually come back to request a waiver? And I'm going to leave it to Jefferson. Is that something that you would consider? And I don't know your time frame either as to when you want to go ahead and get things rolling, as to when that waiver could be submitted and put in.
That's what I'd like to ask, is what would be the time frame on that? Because we are up against the deadline.
Sure.
Sure.
And we have, this site has just gotten very expensive to develop. There's no water, there's no sewer, fiber, just to run the fiber down there, $75,000.
Yeah. So I guess the staff, what would we be looking at for them to go ahead and submit a waiver and then to get it on the agenda?
So let me ask a question just for clarity. Another option is you could approve with the condition
Right.
to
It-
change the
like I said, I'm
materials as one
trying
of the
to
options,
put
yes.
options out there to see what the best path forward for
Right.
us and as well as the applicant.
Well, they could come back to the next meeting,
Yep.
which
We-
is the 23rd,
Right.
and ask for a waiver.
What do you think?
I think that'll change the material to get it to the 80%.
Okay.
And then get the approval. There's a lot of people waiting on answers to whether this project's moving ahead or not.
Okay.
Okay.
And I feel like I need to be responsible, agree to that, and then let other people know.
Got it.
Okay.
And just a question, if we move to the panel for the front, what about the rear?
There's no requirement in the rear. I mean,
Understood.
he may
Yep.
want them to match.
But
Yeah,
from a
that's-
design symmetry, would
Design
you
decision.
go or would you leave the rear, the lakeside elevation open? I mean, I would think probably leave it open.
I'm gonna leave it open,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna,
Meet the requirement and then.
I'm all for symmetry in certain things, but it's asking the architect, and I figured that would be your reply, so.
because what, yeah, and what our goal is that space there is, we bring clients in and we do charrettes, and we spend, 2 days with them. They fly in, and we get on the boards, and we have a lot of fun to be able to open up doors, open up to the nature, those type things. But it's also a place where we're gonna serve our veterans program, and then Aloe Farms, our farm projects and farm programs and stuff like that. So it becomes, it's a meeting room, but
Sure.
it's a charrette room for us.
Okay.
So it's important that we can open up that wall.
I understand, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
All right.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Hamner, you're looking at me, I'm looking at you, so would you like to go ahead and
Sure.
make a motion on this?
Motion to approve the conceptual site plan and elevations for office building at 3511 TDK Boulevard with the condition of doing the panel on the front to meet the 80% requirement.
Okay, and let's make sure that the front is what is the approach elevation as it's submitted.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
so we have a motion to approve with the condition to make the front or the approach elevation up to 80% of the nichia material as proposed by the architect. Any other comments or questions? No?
The building is beautiful.
Thank you.
Really is.
I really like it. It's very pretty, and it's actually unfortunate no one will get to see it where it's actually located.
Well, hopefully we will.
Once you're on the site.
I actually looked at this as the nature version of SMC3. in some ways, so.
A lot of the same language.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve with conditions and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved with conditions. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one last new agenda item, that's conceptual plat Kensington Gardens 400 Stagecoach Road / Spear Road. And turn it back over to staff.
All right, this property was annexed into the city in December of 2023 and was rezoned actually to 2 different categories. You'll see on the plan that this site is divided by streams, and this section right here was rezoned to ER, Estate Residential, and the remaining section, a limited use residential district, LUR 23. This LUR 23 is the portion that we are concerned with this evening and where the development is proposed. Again, this is, let me just point out, this is the new middle school at the end of Stagecoach Road, and then this is Spear Road. So here's the proposed plat. The LUR zoning was approved with the several conditions, which I'll try to list quickly. So all residential lots shall comply with all requirements listed in the zoning ordinance for the R43 zoning district. So those being minimum lot width 150 feet, minimum lot width adjacent to a street right-of-way, 40 feet on the street, 35 feet on the cul-de-sac, front setback 50 feet, side setback 15 feet, rear setback 30 feet. The maximum number of units shall be 21 lots, consisting of a minimum of 1 acre. Environmentally sensitive lands, such as floodplains, wetlands, streams, etc., and their associated buffers shall be platted separately from the residential lots and dedicated either to a homeowners association or the city, and the city's preference is the homeowners association, according to the city engineer. Number 4, a 50-foot landscape buffer meeting all the requirements of the land development ordinance shall be located along Spear Road. So that's just going to be this section right here, 50 feet. And then in addition, a 50-foot buffer shall be provided along the western property line abutting 209 Spear Road. This is 209 Spear Road. This is that 50-foot buffer right here. So staff has reviewed the plan to confirm that all of these conditions are being met, and it was found that the proposal is in compliance with these conditions. In addition to the rezoning conditions, the land development ordinance establishes some subdivision standards, which I will go over a few that apply here. Multi-use paths. The land development ordinance states that the planning commission shall require multi-use paths in order to facilitate access from residential and commercial developments to schools, parks, playgrounds, and other city amenities. You will notice here in this, well, I'm sorry that something about the order got messed up. You should be seeing the plan behind that, but this is the location of a proposed multi-use path. It will leave the end of the cul-de-sac here, go to the northern limit of the property line, and then continue west along the edge to the edge of the property line on the west-hand side, there at the end of Stagecoach. Let's see. The other requirement is for parks and open space. And the land development ordinance requires at least 3 acres of open space per 100 dwelling units. So that's quite a bit. So the proposed subdivision has 21 residential lots. In addition, the developer has a development nearby called Hyde Park, which is phase 1, which has less than 10 lots. So for a total of less than 31, still far from 100. But this other subdivision has a 3-acre open space. And the developer is requesting to use the existing recreation space in Hyde Park to meet the open space requirement for both subdivisions. And so let me explain a little bit how that would work. I know this is a bit like a puzzle. So this overall map shows you the relationship of the new development to the existing development. Here is the recreation space. Here's an enlargement of the 3-acre recreation space. The connection would be the, where'd it go? There we go. This is not showing up very well. This is an existing path right here, which leaves Stagecoach Road and goes up to this carriage lane, and then you can access the recreation space from there. And then, of course, this is Stagecoach Road, which is, which would be part of the path network. There would be the new path that they're creating on the property, and then extending westward to the edge of the property. And then the developer has also agreed to complete the small section of Stagecoach Road that is undeveloped at this time, and that would complete, so that would be this little section right here, and that would complete the connection all the way over to the recreation space. So I'm sorry, that was a bit complicated. Let's see, also there's a landscape requirement that every platted residential lot in the city shall have no less than 2 trees, at least 2 inches in diameter, and staff will perform a landscape inspection at the end of the construction process for each dwelling unit, ensuring that those 2 trees are provided before a CO will be released for that dwelling unit. And that is the highlights. Staff is of the opinion that the proposed plat meets the zoning conditions and the city's land development ordinance. Should the commission decide to approve the plat, the following conditions are recommended. 1, the developer shall be responsible for constructing a multi-use path to the limit of the property as shown on the conceptual plat per Peachtree city standards during the road construction phase of the development. And number 2, developer shall extend Stagecoach Road to the limit of the city right-of-way per Peachtree city standards during the road construction phase of the development.
Okay, thank you, Steph. Is the applicant or representative here? You'd give your name and who you're with?
Michael Hyde, Jr., senior's right here.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything to add to staff's presentation?
He's lived in Peachtree City since 1970. I've lived here my whole life. I'm 40 years old. We've been productive citizens of Peachtree City. Most people know us from the pit stop convenience centers. And we developed the phase 1 of this subdivision, which is over 30 acres, and it's a first-class development. So good that we put our name on it. It is Hyde Park Phase 1. And so, as you can see, we have plans for Phase 2, which we're submitting to you today, and then at some point in the future, be back for that estate residential to put a couple of houses down there for Phase 3. Want to clarify that the discussion today is not a permission or a request or a waiver for that 3 acres to be considered. That was run by engineering and approved by them. This is part of our proposal as just Phase 2. Phase 3 is 9 acres. No way in the world would the compulsion be that another 3 acres would be required for recreation space on a 9-acre development. So we've got Phase 2 and Phase 3. It's more than enough taken care of with the 3.5 acres there. It's worth noting that we are also putting about another 9 acres of the floodplain area that we plan on working with the city. Ms. Leonard and Clint Holland have expressed a deep desire to, at some point, work out something where that becomes part of the city or a city amenity possibly through Southern Conservation Trust or some other mechanism. So it is our intention to make it obviously very recreational friendly, and to have it be beautiful and to have our name on it and be proud of it. We continue to live and work in the city and want it to be something that everyone's proud of.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and Commissioner Hamner, any questions of staff or the applicant?
Just to refresh my memory, how big are the houses are we talking about on these properties?
The minimum requirements are 3,500 square feet, though I think if you look at everything in Hyde Park, the smallest one's about 5,000 square feet, and there are several north of 7 and 8. The market here is going to be more than $1 million homes after the price of the lot.
Understood. For the, if you could go back to the green, the little park. Got it. What are your, do you have any deeper plans in terms of what you would do with the recreation area that's located there?
So we've been told to submit a landscape plan, which will be required for that area and the front buffer along Spear Road at the next step in this process. But it's our intention to have picnic tables and walking pads. And on the other side of the creek, it's our intention to work with the school. I don't know if you're familiar with the Project Adventure thing. There's been some discussion about coordinating something to make that happen.
Understood. Was there ever any discussion in terms of like separating out the park into, for example, like when I see the property that's kind of along Spear Road, it's a bit of a hike to that park area over there. Was there any discussion in terms of like separating that out?
I'm sorry, the area, the 50-foot buffer along Spear Road?
Sorry, some of the properties that are located around there towards the south end, was right, that's buffering up in Spear Road, right there? Right there. Sorry, here, let me just do it.
So it'd be lot number 1.
So the road comes in right there, and I think
Right.
there's 5 houses on the right, kind of before you cross over the creek.
Understood. Yep. So, but was there ever any conversations about having like a park area like closer towards like this development, or in the grand scheme of things, will that be like a centralized area when all the phases are done?
I mean, they'll have access to the 9-acre area that is going to be HOA controlled, and then they'll have a cart path access to that park with the walk-around trail and the pond. And we plan on enhancing that with some additional features as well.
Understood. Okay, those are my questions.
Okay, Commissioner Reeves?
Yes, Laura, if you don't mind going back to the other map that you had up there.
Oh,
Not that
sorry.
one, the one.
These? Yeah.
Yes. Just for clarification, one more time. Everything in yellow that we're looking at is part of either Phase 1 or Phase 2? Is that correct?
That is correct, and I guess this is the area that's zoned ER that will be Phase 3.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't label that.
All right, and so what I'm hearing is that in Phase 1, that area up there in the blue triangle is the area that the applicant is interested in using for the 3-acre requirement.
To
Is
meet
that-
the recreation, yes, requirement for all of this entire.
So to
neighborhood
clarify my
space.
specific conversation, I was told by planning to get it approved by engineering. And when I
Okay.
talked with engineering, I talked with them about the 9-acre piece of property that is in Phase 2. And they said, well, why don't you just go ahead and include the 3.5 acres from your Phase 1, and then we're done. You're approved, and just submit that over. So we did. All in all, it's going to be more than 12 acres of recreational open space.
Because it seems as though the area that's in the orange area down there as part of Phase 2 is the conservation area. Is that correct?
The conservation area is 9 acres.
Show me where that is.
So the area in gray that you're looking at is about 9 acres of conservation area for Phase 2.
Gotcha.
On Phase 3, there will be about another 3 acres in gray shaded area that will also be conservation open area.
Which is probably this, right? This,
It-
Right
Yes,
in here?
yes, so that line
Yeah.
right there, that area will end up being gray
Okay.
on a future thing.
Okay, I think I'm clear. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
No? Okay. Any comments for staff or the applicant?
No comments.
Commissioner Hamner?
Meets all the requirements. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I remember looking at this back in 2023 with Camp Creek running through there and what was proposed to go ahead and take care of it. I agree, it's meeting the requirements. I guess what Commissioner Hamner was mentioning about the recreation area would be nice, and I know there's going to be that extra 9 acres, that could be used for recreation. But depending what you do on those 3 acres up, it is a bit of a hike from those lower lots along, the main street going up and then on the stagecoach and then up into there. I think we always try to keep as much recreation in the area of the homes as possible. So it will be a big thing to go ahead and do that recreation, that 9 acres, to be able to cover, those areas down that's going to be in phase 2 as well as phase 3.
It's an amenity
Yeah.
that we want
Yeah.
future homeowners, that they're going to want to have as well, so.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay, any other comments, questions? No? Okay, so we have a motion. Either side.
Motion to approve the conceptual plat for the Kensington Gardens 400 Stagecoach Road and Spear Road.
With the conditions submitted by
Yep.
staff. Okay, so we have a motion to approve with the conditions submitted by staff.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve conditions submitted by staff in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, approve with the conditions as submitted by staff. Thank you.
Thank y'all very much, and I believe we'll be back in front of y'all for the landscape plan, so.
Thank you. Okay, no workshop items, is that correct? Nothing? Okay, before we go ahead and do a motion to adjourn, I was just going to ask, next planning commission meeting is on the 23rd, so perfect. Okay. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All those in favor of adjourning?